Solven with Stamp Crazy, and today I wanted to show you a really fun fold card using two of my very favorite stamp sets from the Occasions catalog from Stampin' Up. I received this card from my friend Elaine Paget, and I'll open it up for you so you can see. Isn't that gorgeous? So it's like a little fancy fold in the middle, but it fits in a regular size envelope for mailing. I took Elaine's idea and I turned it into more of a monochromatic card. So my card uses Blushing Bride and Whisper White, and then it's just got a little punch of early espresso, as you can see on my little flowers here. So let me show you how I made this card. First I started with the number of years stamp set, and we've also got the matching framelits. The actual photograph on the case, the elements are smaller than they are. There's the 2, and I'll put it right beside the 2 so you can see. So these are much larger. The catalog has the exact size, as you can see here. So this is the true size. This is the true size of the stamps and framelits. The card also uses Botanical blooms, which is absolutely gorgeous, and it's also got a matching framelit. You can see here that you can run it, stamp your image and run it through the Big Shot and just cut it out. So it matches up like that. I'm going to bring back in the card just to remind you what it looks like. So I'm going to start with the front piece here. And I've got a piece of the Birthday Bouquet Designer Series paper. Here's the other side, and it makes me sad that I'm not going to use this side because it is absolutely gorgeous. But I needed something a little more neutral. Now when I use my photopolymer stamps, I always use my foam pad underneath here, my piercing mat. I'm going to be using Early Espresso, and when you're inking up your photopolymer stamps, you've got to be really careful. You just want to ink it up lightly because you don't want any ink to get on your actual acrylic block and accidentally transfer. I'm just going to stamp that. Look who's turning. I've got the word again, so I'm just going to stamp that in the bottom corner here, like so. Next thing I want to bring in is the actual card. This is cut 11 inches this way, and this is 4 1/4, and then it is scored at 5 1/2, so that's half the card, and then it's scored at 2 3/4, and that's just going to fold back on itself. So that's how the card opens. Now in the middle section here, I want to stamp my words. The number of years the world has been a better place because you're in it. And all these words are also from the number of years stamp set. So I want to just stamp it. I'm going to be over the crease here, so I want to be really careful that I'm giving enough pressure to transfer it, but I don't want to press too hard, obviously, and squish it all out. So there we go. I'm going to bring in my stamp piece, and I can go ahead and just using some snail, I can affix it to the front of my card. Next I'm going to bring in Blushing Bride ink, which matches my paper, and the stamp from, again, the number of years, which is just the flower stems. And I'm just going to do a tone on tone. So I'm just going to place these kind of along my bottom here. So you can see that I've just got a few of them here on my card, and that's how it's going to fold up. Now I'm going to bring in my little piece of Whisper White. Now this is cut at 11 inches. It's 11 inches long, but it's just a 1-inch strip. And this time I've scored it at 2 3/4, so it's going to match up with that first score. At 5 1/2, so it's going to match up with that second score, and then again at 8 1/4. To attach this, I'm going to put some snail on my very first piece here, so right to from the edge to the first score, and from the last score to the last edge here. I'm just going to use my snail. I'm just going to put some snail on both sides, both ends of this little strip. Then I want to line it up with my edge, and I'm going to just line it up with that edge. And then when I go to fold it, it's just going to close just like that. I've cut out the number 29 using the little framelits that match the number of years stamp, and I've got a dauber and my ink. I'm just going to ink up my dauber and just add it very lightly to the edges of my numbers. Bring in back in my card here, and this is just going to get affixed to here. Now you could just glue them on with your snail, but I like to pop them up with my Stampin' Dimensionals. The easiest way to do this on these little skinny bits is don't waste anything on these amazing Stampin' Dimensionals, because I can cut little strips off the sides, and then I can just cut them into little strips and little pieces. And I'm just going to use these double-sided, so you just peel this off, like so, and just place them. I'm not going to put a whole bunch on, I'm just going to put enough to keep it in place. Okay, so you can see how much I've put on those, not very much, just enough to keep them in place. So I can add those to the front of my card, like so. Look who's turning 29 again. And now I'm going to move to this part of the strip. For my flowers, I've gone ahead and cut out 2 of this shape, 2 leaves, 2 of the smaller, 2 centers, and this little flower. I've also cut out 2 flower centers out of Early Espresso, just to give it a little bit of pop. The first thing I wanted to do was take my Early Espresso ink and again my dauber, and I'm just going to add a little bit of ink to sort of the center, and maybe just going out a little bit on these little center flowers. I did not color the little centers of these because I wanted them to just sort of be more white and just let that pink pop through underneath. Bring my card back in. I find some of the easiest ways to add little elements like this is using the Tombow multi-purpose glue, because you can really direct where you want the glue to be. The first thing I'm going to put on is my little fern. Now obviously I don't want to put glue on the whole thing because some of it's going to be hanging off the edge and I don't want that to be stuck to the inside of my card. So just kind of eyeball where that glue should be. Okay, the remainder of these pieces I'm going to pop up with dimensionals. On these flowers here, the middles are actually independent of the edges. So, you know, just sometimes it's kind of nice just to pop these up a little bit, just to give them a little more dimension. You can also kind of crease them. Just kind of curl them with your fingers. So, let's assemble. I'm going to take my backing off of this one. And so let's assemble. I'm going to start with that little fern that I had, and I'm just going to lay that on top, and then add my first little piece like so, and a little center. Then I'm just going to work to my next little panel here. This time I'm going to add this little guy and this one here. And now I want to put my little brown pieces that I had from earlier that I cut out from the Early Espresso. And then this little flower, just going to put there. And then I'm just going to add my last little pieces at the end. So I've got my fern and my flower. Just going to maybe, another great thing about this glue, it allows you a little bit of play. So I'm going to put that there, and my center. Okay, so that's most of it done. The last thing I want to add are some little elements. These are called white perfect accents, and my customers weren't even aware of these because I wasn't really aware of them. You know, you overlook things in the catalog sometimes, but these are awesome because you can actually color these with a Sharpie marker, or any other kind of coloring tool. I want to leave them white for this card, so I'm going to just, they're self-adhesive. So I'm just going to stick that one on that little guy there. And the larger ones, so you just slide your scissors under there. Hope you've liked that. I just wanted to bring in some other cards that I've made using the number set. This one here doesn't use any of the numbers, but it does use this really cool banner that comes with the stamp set, and the words Happy Birthday come with the stamp set, and we've used the stems, and now there's the little flowers. So here's a simple little card. Happy Birthday. In this example, I've used the 29, but instead of using the actual cutouts, I've used the negative, and so hopefully you can see, I'm not sure on the video if you can see, that this is actually a cutout, the negative 29, and I've just backed it with Blushing Bride paper. And then here's more of traditional card using these elements. So look who's turning 21 again. Here's your stems again, done a couple of those, and then you can add the flowers that also come with the stamp set, and because it's two-step and because it's photopolymer, you can see exactly where the placements of those are. So that's really cool. Stamped the number 21 this time and cut it out with the framelits. I hope you've enjoyed my video today and you'll try this really simple card yourself. It's a really effective card, and I'm sure you can come up with lots of different ways of using this special fold. Thanks so much for watching today. Please visit my blog at stampcrazywithalison.ca for more tips and techniques. Happy stamping!